Okay, now Odon, good to have you back. Listen, a lot of people have been asking for these. They want these examples. They're saying, yes, this is all good theory. This is all nothing more than happenstance. Where are your examples? So you've given us already one example of Adam and Iblis. Now you're going to give us another one of the Mizan commentary, and you're going to show that in all through the Quran, you get these interpolation, you get these additions, you get these addendums, you get these changes, the manipulations, you get really some cases even redactions, proving that there's human intervention all the way through to a text that was already there, that was being used by the Jews and the Christian. They take that text and they manipulate it, and they add, and they accrete, and they delete, and they put, and they change it to their own needs, to their own desires. You're going to give us another example. This is what we're looking for. What's the example? Over to you.
Hello, Jay. Hello, everyone. Well, the example is again taken from Guillaume Dye's work, and one can see a very thorough explanation in his English article, Concepts and Methods in the Study of the Qur'an, which is available on the web. And he found something, thanks to one of his students, Julien de Charneux. He found that there was an interpolation in Surah 55. And the interpolation is a commentary to explain this very odd word, mizan, which means scale or balance. And the best thing to understand it is to read the text, and we will see what it is about. So let me share the screen. All right, here is the beginning of Surah 55, starting from verse 5. The sun and the moon. This is just a commentary. This is Droge translation. The sun and the moon follow a calculated course. The star and the tree prostrate themselves. The sky, he raised it, and he laid it down the scale, that you not transgress insolently concerning the scale, and establish the weight in justice, and do not cheat concerning the scale. And the earth, he laid it down for all living creatures. On it there are fruits, and date palms with sheaths, and grain with its husk, and fragrant herbs. Which one of the blessings of your Lord will you too call a lie? First of all, when you read the text in Arabic, you see that there is something odd with verse 8 and 9, because the rhymes and the structure are not the same as the rest. And when you try to understand what this passage is about, there is also something very, very odd. We have a general discourse on the creation of the universe by God, about the sun and the moon, their course, the stars, and so on. And there is this thing about the scale. In verse 7, he laid down the scale. And thereafter, there is an explanation in verse 8 and 9 about this scale. What is the scale? It is a measuring instrument that we use in the market so that we do not cheat on the weight, and so that the weight is established, as it is written in verse 9, in justice. So this has nothing to do with the creation of the world, with the stars, with the sun, with the moon, with the earth. This is something very, very peculiar, very it's not on the same level. And thereafter, on verse 10, verse 11, and so on, we go back to the creation of the universe, we go back to the earth, we go back to God creating everything. So here I think just looking at the structure and the meaning of this passage, we see something that looks very much like an interpolation. But we understand that it is definitely an interpolation when we look again at the context. What is the context? Guillaume Dye found many Syriac texts from the 5th, the 6th century, and even before, about this thing, about the balance. And I just want to quote here Narsai of Nisibis in one of his homilies on creation, as he also talks about the scale or the balance and the creation of the world. And he's speaking about God here. He divided the waters, half for the world from above and half for the earth. So here he is commenting the Genesis book, the book about the creation of the world. And as you know, in this book, it is written that on the second day, God divided the waters, half for the world from above and half for the earth. O command which solidified the water, liquid element, and made it a solid element, which can carry water. O balance. Here it is the Syriac word matkala. O balance, which divided the large water reserve and gathered it into two oceans, into the world from above and the world from below. So here, from the context, we see what this balance is about. It is about the balance of the universe, the balance between the waters from the sky and the waters from the oceans, the waters from above and the waters from below. It has nothing to do with a measuring instrument we use on the market. So what is the mizan? The mizan here in verse 7 in Surah 55. Is it a scale, a basic scale that we use in the market, or is it about the balance of the universe, the balance of between the waters from above, the waters from below? Of course, it is about, as we see in Surah 55, that it is about the creation of the universe by God. It is about the second balance, the balance of the universe. And here we have evidence of an interpolation that was made by a scribe who did not understand at the time when he was writing the Quranic text. He did not understand what the scale meant. He did not have the reference in mind. He did not write out of the 6th or 7th century context with those Syriac references in mind, with the biblical references in mind. And so he looked at this word mizan, whoa, and told him, what does it mean? What does it mean? And he wrote a commentary about it, identifying the word to the measuring instrument and adding 2 verses in the Quranic text. And here again, we have I think this is very hard evidence that there were interpolation, at least this one interpolations in the Quranic text, and that the Quranic text comes from an editing and a writing and rewriting process.
This is good. I mean, these are the examples that people need to hear. I hope you're all listening to what Odon is introducing now. He's getting this from Guillaume Dye. This is not his work. He is not a scholar. Guillaume Dye is the scholar. He's using a scholarly instrument here. He's using a scholarly environment to understand and unpack the text. And this is something you have done before as well. I remember you did another one on Surah 23 and Surah 70, where you looked how this beautiful poem about the duties of the believer and then the rewards of the believer is interposed all of a sudden. When it gets to the word chastity, suddenly it just bastardizes that word chastity and introduces a very heinous view of chastity, which assumes that a man can have up to more wives and any women that his right hand possesses. These are slaves of war. Here again is another example in chapter 55, where you have looked at a poem that it looks like it's a beautiful poem. It's a Syriac poem about the creation of the world, and it talks about the balance of the waters above and below. This matkala. Here you have suddenly the person who's reading it doesn't understand this word and introduces 2 different verses in verse 8 and 9, which I won't call it bastardization in this way. What it does, it just completely annuls the whole context of what it's talking about.
By a scribe which has not a Syriac and Christian background, a Christian Syriac background, but a trader background.
Yeah,
working on markets and if you are a trader cheating with the weights on the scale is a very it's an offense. And this is what he had in mind instead of the biblical context and so on.
Yeah, in fact, he has the word cheat in there. You don't cheat with the scale. This has nothing to do with what the poem's about. The poem's about the making of the universe and how the balance is there. God has introduced the balance there. No, this has nothing to do with man cheating. But if you don't know Syriac and you don't know Aramaic and you're not familiar with these terms and you're not familiar with these, this is how you interpose it, which then proves that there has been interpolation, there has been manipulation of the text, there has been introduction of new ideas. In this case, not even understanding what the whole ethos of the poem's about, introduces what he comes from and from his own environment. In this case, a person who's in the marketplace, kind of warning others, do not cheat, do not cheat. This is what it's about. No, it's not about that. This is a great example. Thanks so much, Odon. You've done a great job showing once again, that we now know if you go back to the original text, go back to the Syriac text and the Aramaic, you can see this is a beautiful poem of God's balance in creation. This is man doing this. This is not God. This is a later interpolation, in this case, not understanding not only the word, but the context or the meaning. God bless you. This is terrific. Thanks so much for your help.